gentle listener. This is not a normal Nocturnal Transmissions episode, but rather a little slice from the black, unctuous cake, otherwise known as our latest Patreon episode. Every third transmission we release is just for our beloved Patreon subscribers. 2 for the world at large, then 1 just for our fellow tenders of the dark flame, is how we do it. If you like what you hear and you would like to have access to the story in full, along with all the other stories tucked away in our Patreon-exclusive back catalogue, just visit patreon.com/Nocturnal Transmissions and sign up. You'll find a range of tiers there to match whatever level of enthusiasm you bring to the party. Anyway, whether you are considering joining us or not, we do hope you enjoy this little cutlet, as it were, lacerated from our latest offering. And on that note, let's have at it. While in Egypt, commenced Forsyth slowly, I went one day with my guide and Professor Niles to explore the Cheops. Niles had a mania for antiquities of all sorts and forgot time, danger, and fatigue in the ardour of his pursuit. We rummaged up and down the narrow passages, half-choked with dust and close air, reading inscriptions on the walls, stumbling over shattered mummy cases, or coming face to face with some shriveled specimen, perched like a hobgoblin on the little shelves where the dead used to be stowed away for ages. I was desperately tired after a few hours of it, and begged the professor to return, but he was bent on exploring certain places and would not desist. We had but one guide, so I was forced to stay, but Jamal, my man, seeing how weary I was, proposed to us to rest in one of the larger passages while he went to procure another guide for Niles. We consented, and assuring us that we were perfectly safe if we did not quit the spot, Jamal left us, promising to return speedily. The professor sat down to take notes of his researches, and, stretching myself on the soft sand, I fell asleep. I was roused by that indescribable thrill which instinctively warns us of danger, and springing up, I found myself alone. One torch burned faintly where Jamal had struck it, but Niles and the other light were gone. A dreadful sense of loneliness oppressed me for a moment. Then I collected myself and looked well about me. A bit of paper was pinned to my hat, which lay near me, and on it, in the professor's writing, were these words. I've gone back a little to refresh my memory on certain points. Don't follow me till Jamal comes. I can find my way back to you, for I have a clue. Sleep well and dream gloriously of the pharaohs. N.N. I laughed at first over the old enthusiast, then felt anxious, then restless, and finally resolved to follow him, for I discovered a strong cord fastened to a fallen stone and knew that this was the clue he spoke of. Leaving a line for Jamal, I took my torch and retraced my steps, following the cord along the winding ways. I often shouted, but received no reply, and pressed on, hoping at each turn to see the old man poring over some musty relic of antiquity. Suddenly, the cord ended, and lowering my torch, I saw that the footsteps had gone on. Rash fellow, he'll lose himself to a certainty, I thought, really alarmed now. As I paused, a faint call reached me, and I answered it, waited, shouted again, and a still fainter echo replied. Niles was evidently going on, misled by the reverberations of the low passages. No time was to be lost, and forgetting myself, I stuck my torch in the deep sand to guide me back to the clue, and ran down the straight path before me, whooping like a madman as I went. I did not mean to lose sight of the light, but in my eagerness to find Niles, I turned from the main passage and, guided by his voice, hastened on. His torch soon gladdened my eyes, and the clutch of his trembling hands told me what agony he had suffered. "Let's get out of this horrible place at once," he said, wiping the great drops off his forehead. "Come, we're not far from the clue. I can soon reach it, and then we are safe." But as I spoke, a chill passed over me, for a perfect labyrinth of narrow paths lay before us. Trying to guide myself by such landmarks as I had observed in my hasty passage, I followed the tracks in the sand till I fancied we must be near my light. No glimmer appeared, however, and kneeling down to examine the footprints nearer, I discovered to my dismay that I had been following the wrong ones, for among those marked by a deep boot heel were prints of bare feet. We had had no guide there, and Jamal wore sandals. Rising, I confronted Niles with the one despairing word: "Lost," as I pointed from the treacherous sand to the fast-waning light. I thought the old man would be overwhelmed, but to my surprise he grew quite calm and steady, thought a moment, and then went on, saying quietly, "Other men have passed here before us. Let us follow their steps, for if I do not greatly err, they lead towards great passages where one's way is easily found." On we went bravely, till a misstep threw the professor violently to the ground with a broken leg, and nearly extinguished the torch. It was a horrible predicament, and I gave up all hope as I sat beside the poor fellow, who lay exhausted with fatigue, remorse, and pain. For I would not leave him. "Paul," he said suddenly, "if you will not go on, there is one more effort we can make. I remember hearing that a party, lost as we are, saved themselves by building a fire. The smoke penetrated further than sound or light, and the guide's quick wit understood the unusual mist. He followed it and rescued the party. Make a fire and trust to Jamal." "A fire without wood?" I began, but he pointed to a shelf behind me, which had escaped me in the gloom, and on it I saw a slender mummy case. I understood him, for these dry cases, which lie about in hundreds, are freely used as firewood. Reaching up, I pulled it down, believing it to be empty, but as it fell, it burst open, and out rolled a mummy. Accustomed as I was to such sights, it startled me a little, for danger had unstrung my nerves. Laying the little brown chrysalis aside, I smashed the case, lit the pile with my torch, and soon a light cloud of smoke drifted down the 3 passages which diverged from the cell-like place where we had paused. While busied with the fire, Niles, forgetful of pain and peril, had dragged the mummy nearer, and was examining it with the interest of a man whose ruling passion was strong, even in death. "Come and help me unroll this. I've always longed to be the first to see and secure the curious treasures put away among the folds of these uncanny winding sheets. This is a woman, and we may find something rare and precious here," he said, beginning to unfold the outer coverings from which a strange, aromatic odour came. Reluctantly I obeyed, for to me there was something sacred in the bones of this unknown woman. But to beguile the time and amuse the poor fellow, I lent a hand, wondering as I worked if this dark, ugly thing had ever been a lovely, soft-eyed Egyptian girl. From the fibrous folds of the wrapping dropped precious gums and spices, which half intoxicated us with their potent breath, antique coins, and a curious jewel or two, which Niles eagerly examined. All the bandages but one were cut off at last, and a small head laid bare, round which still hung great plaits of what had once been luxuriant hair. The shrivelled hands were folded on the breast, and clasped in them lay that gold box. "Ah!" cried Evelyn, dropping it from her rosy palm with a shudder. "Nay, don't reject the poor little mummy's treasure. I never have quite forgiven myself for stealing it, or for burning her," said Forsyth, painting rapidly as if the recollection of that experience lent energy to his hand. "Burning her? Oh, Paul, what do you mean?" That concludes our teaser episode. A quick note, if you've decided you would indeed like to check out our Patreon subscriber page and reap the rewards, please go to patreon.com to find us, or use the link on our website, nocturnaltransmissions.com.au. We recommend you don't use the Apple Patreon app, for the simple reason it will cost you more. The Android app is fine, apparently. Okay, there's a little bit of an insider tip for you. And that concludes the concluding of our Patreon exclusive episode teaser.